Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining today's webinar. My name is Lizanne Lottering and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Cardiolog Analytics. And I'll go ahead and kick things off. Today's webinar will teach you how sentiment analysis can drive productivity and collaboration in Microsoft 365. Let's begin with a bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded. If you want to share this with a colleague, we'll go ahead and send an email with the recording after today's session. And of course, if you have any questions, please send them through the questions box within the GoToWebinar panel. We will leave some time towards the end for Q&A. And just to let you know that you can also connect with us on Twitter with the Twitter handle @Cardiolog. Our agenda for today: we will start out with a very short introduction. I will talk a bit about Cardiolog Analytics and who we are, and then I will go into detail about what sentiment analytics is, what sentiment analysis can do in order to reach your company goals. We'll go into that in detail, and then, like I said earlier, at the end, we'll be taking some questions. I've mentioned earlier, please send your questions throughout the course of this presentation. And let's hop right into about Cardiolog Analytics. I just want to tell you a little bit about us, and then I will get into today's topic. So I'll start off with a brief introduction about who we are. Cardiolog Analytics has been around for about 16 years now, since 2005. We are based out of Boston, and over the past 16 years, we've been focused on analytics and engagement designed for SharePoint, Teams, and Microsoft 365. Our flagship solution is Cardiolog Analytics, and it's built specifically for internal platforms, including all versions of SharePoint from 2010 up to 2019, as well as SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, Exchange, and soon also Microsoft Viva. And also just to let you know that our solutions are available both on-prem and as a SaaS version based on Power BI. Our goal as a company is to help our customers to constantly improve Microsoft 365 based on how it's being used or consumed. So in terms of that, there are 4 pillars that we talk to our customers about. The first, as you can see, is monitor, which means it's the tracking of the usage within SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, and Exchange. The second is engaging users. So that would mean asking them what their needs are, what their pain points are, and what's not working for them. That's really very relevant here today for our topic, as you will see once I dive into this topic a little bit deeper. And then the next pillar is to enhance. So we want to make sure that we are constantly improving SharePoint and Teams and so on, based on those first 2 pillars that I've mentioned. And the whole idea is to have actionable metrics, which will allow us to constantly make Microsoft 365 platforms better for the users. And then finally, the last pillar is securing Office 365 or Microsoft 365 by enforcing permissions and access, identifying breaches of information, and securing confidential data. So let's get into our topic today, and we'll start off by first talking about what sentiment analysis is. So sentiment analysis is the process of detecting positive or negative sentiment in text. It's often used by businesses to detect sentiment in social data, to gauge brand reputation, to understand customers. But Cardiolog Analytics, we have decided and we added sentiment analysis to our analytics to help organizations understand users and not customers. So since Microsoft 365 users express their thoughts and feelings in messages and through content that they upload, sentiment analysis is becoming an essential tool to monitor and understand that sentiment. So automatically analyzing users' posts and discussions allow organizations to learn what makes users happy or what makes them frustrated, so they can then tailor training and support, or even tailor the different Microsoft 365 environments such as SharePoint, Yammer, and Teams in order to meet their users' needs, keep them happy, and boost their collaboration. And then obviously, in essence, that will also increase their productivity and the company's productivity as a whole. Sentiment analysis is a method for gauging opinions of individuals or groups based on a scoring mechanism. Sentiment analysis monitors conversations and evaluates language inflections to quantify attitudes, opinions, and emotions related to a topic or a platform. So as part of the overall speech analytics system, sentiment analysis is the integral component that determines a Microsoft 365 user's opinions or attitudes. So by leveraging sentiment analysis in the right way, you can enrich your SharePoint, Teams, and Yammer content to ensure users have what they need in order to be productive and collaborative. It goes without saying that the type of sentiment surrounding your Microsoft 365 environments can either enhance user performance or work against it. So the general mood surrounding a particular product exerts a considerable impact on its success or the lack thereof. So how can you use this tool to your SharePoint or Teams or Yammer environment's benefit? First, analyze sentiment consistently so as to identify dropping moods as early as possible. I will talk about that again a little bit later. Look at what users are discussing and determine the best approach to handle it before it can all go south. Connect to those unhappy users to let them know how you are working to resolve an issue. Keep in mind that negative emotions draw the most attention, so really work hard to address them. And what's really great is that Cardiolog Analytics, together with Cardiolog Engage, has both of those sides, from getting this data to taking action to approach those users or those departments or groups that, according to the sentiment analysis, are unhappy. So we'll hop into the engagement part also towards the end of this presentation. Now that we have an idea of how we should leverage sentiment to enhance a platform's or a user's performance, let's take a look at some of the benefits you can gain from it. So first will be you can gauge user opinion in real time. You can easily identify common pain points, areas for improvement in the platform or regarding collaboration in the platform. Number two, better decision making. Using the information that is rich with insights eliminates guesswork out of the decision-making process. And you can then base those decisions on hard data. And this approach holds a higher likelihood of user satisfaction. And then number three would be enhancing the user experience. Productivity in the workplace suffers when users are struggling or getting frustrated. So using this readily available data gives useful insights into aspects of your Microsoft 365 usage that need improvement, among other things. So let me show you all of this by hopping straight into the demo environment. Within our product, Cardiolog Analytics, we have various solutions that add extra value, from our augmented analytics to sentiment analysis, which I will show you during this demonstration. But first of all, let's look at some reports across many dashboards where I will show you some high-level data. So we'll start here. First, you can see the SharePoint tree structure where I can track as many environments as I like. In this overview dashboard, we are seeing data about content, about adoption, about search. So if we first of all look at adoption, I'm showing data by departments. And this is how you know who is not very active. And the whole point would be then to target those who need more training, more support in order to improve their adoption rates. But if we look at content, let me open this up into focus mode so you can see even better. We can see the most active or the most popular content based on these page view numbers. If we, for example, launched a new HR site, so if you launched a new HR site or a new, let's say, Corona policy, we can see if people are actually taking advantage of that new content. But once we know about this, the whole point is we are then able to take action. Maybe we'll launch a campaign and make sure that people or users are in fact aware of that wonderful new HR site or that all-important policy. I can also flip that around, and there we go. Now we are showing all the inactive content. So this is the content not being used often or not at all. And that could be whether it's sites or documents or pages and more. So all the unused content. But once you know about that, you're empowered to take action and make the necessary improvements needed, whether it's deleting it, archiving it, notifying everyone about the site, maybe adding a link from the homepage, or launching a campaign. So lots of really wonderful actionable data right here. If we go back to the report, I also just want to show you at the top, we have our different content types. So for example, if I want to see documents for most popular and least popular, I'll select documents, and now the report only shows data about documents. There's also some other actions that can be taken. For example, you can see the size of the content. Let me actually go back to the report real quick. You can see things such as the owner. You can see, like I said, the size of the content. So maybe with really large content, the admin can find out who owns this, contact that person who is the owner of this content, and tell the owner that they have 60 days to get rid of it, or to take some other form of action, or to improve it, or it will be deleted, for example. And having the owner helps to obviously know who to contact to inform them about the issues with the content. I also want to show you search. So if we talk about search, is everyone looking for the same document or the same page? If so, let's surface that content so it's easier to find, right? So here on the top left, you can see the top search term is benefits. You can see that the top search term is benefits. So if everyone in the company is searching for the term benefits, click on it and filter the entire dashboard by this one search term. And now you can see that benefits alone has been searched over or almost 1,200 times. And if I multiply that by over 60 seconds per search, that is a lot of time wasted looking for just one piece of content or one search term. But now I know about it, so I can surface it. Maybe I can add a link from the home page to this particular search term, and that will save a lot of wasted time. It will improve overall productivity in the organization and help adoption as well. And you may need to also look more in depth into your search schema or queries in order to improve them as well. If you have existing content on benefits, you may need to optimize that content or improve the search scheme to assist your users in connecting to it. If you don't have a lot of helpful content, not just any content, regarding benefits, this is a key indicator to then start creating content to help your users get the information they need. Basically, this means that as technology becomes easier to use, people will come back and they'll use it more often. And since we are in this dashboard, I also want to show you successful versus failed searches before I then immediately have to hop into social posts and discussions. So we can see successful versus failed searches. So that's for each term. In this case, I'm still filtered by benefits. So this is something that is actually quite concerning. It's quite a high failed search rate. So that means that only half of those users actually clicked on the results. And it means that even more time is being wasted as well. But once I have this data, we have a way of making improvements. On top of that, sentiment analysis will significantly help organizations to sort data at scale, identify critical issues in real time, and improve accuracy and gain better insights because the criteria is more consistent. Let's look at some sentiments here. If we look at the top messages report, let me scroll just a little bit to the right. Here you can see the sentiment of each piece of content. Here's the title of the content, the contributor, the amount of likes, rating score, and then the all-important sentiment, whether positive, negative, or neutral. We conclude what the sentiment is of each piece of content by analyzing it. That would be analyzing the text. Sentiment analysis automatically determines the emotional tone behind conversations in Yammer and in Teams, or behind content in those environments, but also in feedback. It is basically the process of detecting positive or negative or neutral sentiment in text. So Cardiolog analytics help organizations to detect these sentiments in social data, like you can see here, and understand employees. We have integrated sentiment analysis into our reports for social platforms, including Teams, Yammer, SharePoint Social, to help organizations to interpret user feedback, questions, and queries in order to better support them or inform management what is needed in terms of training. In this report about Yammer groups, we can clearly see the Yammer group, how many messages have been created, how many replies there are, and then the percentage of positive reports, which will help you to see which Yammer groups possibly need more training and support to know to reach out to users belonging to those specific Yammer groups and ask them for feedback. In general, to see what can be done to help or assist them and try to drive that positive percentage up. Cardiolog analytics determines the sentiment of certain content by analyzing the content text, the comments, the mentions, the likes, and the reactions on the content. And the same with Yammer conversations. For each conversation, we can see the number of participants, you can see the number of replies, and then very importantly, the number of positive, negative, as well as neutral sentiments in each. So when you see the number of negative sentiments are much higher, then you can reach out to those participants the same way we mentioned before. These sentiments also help identify negative impact on adoption. So from having difficulty in a platform with content, and for certain users having difficulty in a platform with content, they are not going to be very eager to come back and they're not going to use the technology again. That's why it's so important to understand these sentiments and to leverage these sentiments to make sure that your users are happy, to make sure that they keep on returning to platforms, that they are supported, that they are trained, and that they can work as independently when they need to and as collaboratively as they need to in order to reach company goals and to be as productive as possible. So these sentiments will give you insights into users' feelings, and that will help you to understand where to focus your training and where to focus your support, or maybe what issues to address to ensure users are happy and that there are no issues, basically. Now let's hop into some dashboards for Teams. Here in this dashboard, you can see down to the user level. And with this info, you can drive adoption by finding out who your influential users are. We are talking about these champions, these top mentioned users. You can see here who is using Teams the most. And once you know who these champions are, you can reach out to them, maybe invite them to share some tips or host a quick session explaining some how-tos on using Teams. And that will motivate and support those inactive users and maybe help to smooth over some of the frustration that certain users can have within the platform. You can see which users are more active and you can filter it by the most number of members, channels, messages, replies, likes, and so on. You can even go more in depth and you can sort this by office, you can sort this by department, so you can get more insights on how different locations or how different groups are using Teams and what their top level of activity looks like. And then if I happen to report about influential content, very important. So for each team and channel, it's very important to know that you're able to filter by the team. I'll show you maybe the management team. You can even filter by the channel. I'm not going to do that right now, just to show you that you are able to, because I'm going to talk about this again. So like I said, you can filter by team and channel, and you can see with this team or this channel if they are sharing content in tabs. You can see if they are sharing contents in tabs or if they are sending attachments. So if customers want to give training for teams and we know maybe a specific team doesn't know it's a functionality, this really helps and informs us when we are training so we know where to focus our training. It's important to track the user's productivity within Teams to ensure that users are using all of the functionalities in Teams and not just using it maybe as a chat-based platform, but actually using it to be productive and collaborative. But then if we open the channel overview, and like I've shown you, you are able to see which team, you can filter it by a specific team and a specific channel. And again, for each message, you can see if the reply was positive or negative if we look here at the message. So for each message, you can see if the reply was positive, neutral, or negative. And this can be filtered by a specific team or channel. So you can understand which teams, which channels users belong to that are responsible for these negative sentiments. You as management can therefore take action based on that and improve the situation within teams to make sure that users are in fact happy and that they are being as collaborative and productive as possible. So now, as promised, I want to hop into Cardiolog Engage. So I want to show you how this amazing tool uses all of these insights and data that I've just shown you and all of these sentiments to take action to drive productivity, collaboration, and consumption in all of those different environments, and also to get valuable insights directly from users and address those negative sentiments. Very important. So seeing how incredibly valuable it is, we are also soon adding sentiment analysis to Cardiolog Engage as well to its campaign responses, which will be very useful to understand the response for the open text type responses, to better understand the user feedback and to give them the right support and training. But for now, let me show you how to leverage Cardiolog Engage to address those negative sentiments. So for example, we spoke earlier about asking for feedback. With Cardiolog Engage, you are able to ask for feedback. You can launch a campaign from scratch where you can use one of these canned campaigns. And you can, for example, this one says ask for feedback on for 4 pages, but you can just ask for feedback on anything. In that case, you would skip and start your own campaign from scratch. So for example, like we mentioned earlier, if there's a specific Yammer group that you've noticed that the sentiments are really negative and you want to send a message to only users belonging to that specific Yammer group, you want to ask them for feedback, then this is how you would do that. You would target users who belong to Yammer in this case, and obviously to a specific group in Yammer. So then you would enter the name of that group. Maybe you want to target users in a specific department in SharePoint or a specific team in Teams. So based on the data that you've seen, based on what you've seen in the sentiment analysis that you want to address, you are able to send a message to those specific users or teams or departments in Cardiolog Engage. Maybe I want to send a message to all users who did not interact with Yammer or with Teams, and you want to send a message to all of them. Or maybe you want to get feedback from users who didn't interact with Yammer or didn't interact with Teams, because clearly you cannot read their sentiments, so you're going to have to ask them for feedback directly. So there's many different options, many different ways to leverage Cardiolog Engage. It is an amazing solution that has multiple ways of leveraging it to help you in your organization to drive productivity and collaboration. So once you've selected who you want to reach out to, let's use the Yammer. You want to reach out to everyone in Yammer or a specific group in Yammer. Then your next step would be channel. You want to send this message as a text message. That will obviously depend on the department or the field they are in. Maybe they're in the sales team, so out in the field, so maybe a text message. Maybe they're very active in SharePoint, so I can send them a quick pop-up that will pop up as a header or footer, maybe an email. Maybe they're very active in Teams. You can send them a message right within Teams that will be as a channel message. So you have also amazing different options for channels you can send the message through. So then we get to the all-important text and design. So based on the data, based on what you've seen in the sentiment analysis, you can now ask that particular Yammer group for feedback. You can say, I've noticed that there have been many negative feelings towards a specific topic or a specific message or in a specific group. You want some insight so you can help support those groups or those users. So you write in the text whatever reflects what you've seen in the data, and what's really neat, you can put a call to action. If you want to ask for really specific feedback, in that case, it will be an open question. If you want to invite them to an event, maybe specific training, you've seen from the sentiments they're really unhappy with a certain topic, so you realize that's maybe something they need more training on, then you can schedule training and ask them to RSVP to this training. So it really, again, depends on what you've seen in the data, and you will take action based on that. And then the last step would be to, when will I send the message? You will schedule it to be sent at a specific date or time. It will be triggered based on their behavior in SharePoint. So with the moment they're scrolling down a page or viewing a specific page, that's when it will pop up, or immediately. So then you will update you will create and update your campaign, and based on when you decided it should be sent, it will then be sent to at exactly the time you selected, to exactly the users you have selected, and exactly the wording that you have put in, to make sure that you are actually taking action based on the data and not just getting these insights, but actually using these insights to improve your different platforms and to improve the experience for your users within these platforms. So let me hop right back into my presentation. Let me quickly check to see if there's a question. I see one question, and I have a question from Mark. Mark says, how can we try those solutions? Oh, Mark, that's a really good question. We do have a trial. We actually have a free trial as well as proof of concept for people who want a longer evaluation or to try even more environments and features versus the free limited trial. I'd love for you to contact us so we can share more information about what is included in each. I will put the contact details up here so you can do that. Just remember that you can find all our solutions in AppSource. I will go ahead and wrap up today's session. As a reminder, we have recorded this webinar and we will be sending it out in the next day or two for you to share with your colleagues or to watch again. We invite you to visit us at cardiologanalytics.com to book your free demo of Cardiolog Analytics, of Augmented Analytics, of Cardiolog Engage, so we can show you our capabilities for SharePoint, for Yammer, for OneDrive, for Teams, for Exchange. You can also tweet us. You can see on the screen at Cardiolog is where you would do that. And for more information and helpful tips, you can check out our blog at blog.inklock.com. And for more information, you can contact us directly at info@inklock.com. Great. So a very big thank you to everyone who joined me today. I hope this was interesting for you. I hope this was relevant. And really, sentiment analysis is really the future of analytics, and we are very happy to have jumped on board. We hope to get all of you on board, and it's a very, very important topic, and please reach out to us so we can answer any more questions that might come up that you weren't able to ask during this presentation. Have a good rest of your day and goodbye.